In this lecture, we're going to learn about what happens when the array you pass as a function parameter has a size. Let's look at an example. Here we have a function that is going to sum up our array, but we have specified the size of the array here. If you look at this 5 here, you might think that the compiler is going to enforce for your parameters to have 5 elements, but that's not the case. The compiler is going to allow you to pass any number of parameters. For example, here you see we set up an array called student scores, and we have in less than 5 parameters. This is going to work fine if we call our function like this. And even if we pass in more than 5 elements, this is going to work. The main message is that the compiler is not going to enforce this size that you have here. In fact, you can even put in a junk value like 1 billion or whatever. The compiler is going to ignore this. I just want you to be aware of this. For now, we're just going to head over to Visual Studio Code and show you that this is actually the case. Okay, here we are in our working folder. The current project is sized array function parameters 1714 here. We are going to grab this, the template files, and put that in our current project. And we are going to open it in Visual Studio Code like we always do. Let's open this. We're going to have our main CPP file here. We're going to clean it up a little bit. We are going to go on top here and put in our function that is going to sum up our array. And you notice that we have the size of this array put in here. One might think that the compiler is going to force us to put in arrays that only have 5 elements, no more, no less. But that's not going to be the case. Let's go in main here and set up a simple array. Let's close the left pane here. We don't need it anymore. And we are going to call the sum function here. Let's go down and call it. We're going to set up a variable, which is going to be of double type. And it's going to be result. And it's going to store the sum of our array. We're going to pass the name of the array, which is student scores. And we're going to deduce the size of the array through std size because this is a true array name. This is going to work. So we're going to say student scores, and we're going to put a semicolon here. And down here we can say stdc out and print the result out. We have less than 5 elements in here, but you see that Visual Studio Code is not giving us any warning, so this is a sign that this might actually compile. But we have to pass this through GCC to be sure. So let's do that, and you're going to see that the build is going to be good, and this is going to run and tell us that the sum is 60. And if we sum up these guys, this is going to be 30 and 60. This is the sum that we should get. We can even change this to contain more than 5 elements. So let's try and put in a 4 and a 5 and a 6 and a 7 and an 8 and a 9 and see what we get. Let's try and build this. We're going to build with GCC. The build is good. And we're going to run Rooster and we're going to get our sum here. And I am sure if you sum these guys up, you're going to get a 99 here. So again, the size here is going to be ignored by the compiler. In fact, you can even put a junk value here, and let's say some junk value here. And you're going to see that the compiler is going to be unhappy. But we can put in any junk value that can act as an array size. You're going to see that this is going to work, and it's going to be completely ignored by the compiler. So let's build this and see that it actually works. We should get a 99. And we have a 99 here. And if we leave out this size, things are going to work equally well. We should get a 99. 99. You see that this size here is completely ignored by the compiler. This is something I want you to be aware of because sometimes you're going to see code like this and think, this is a size that should be enforced by the compiler. That's not the case. The compiler is going to completely ignore this. In fact, I do recommend not putting sizes in your arrays that you pass as parameters to make your code super clear. Because if somebody sees a size in your array like this, for example, this 7 here, they are going to think this thing is going to have a meaning, but it is completely useless. So I do recommend leaving things like this without a size, and your code is going to be much easier to work with, and it's not going to be confusing. This is really all we set out to do in this lecture, making you aware of this little trap when you see a size in your array like this. Hopefully by now you know that this is completely useless. We are going to stop here in this lecture. In the next one, we're going to see how you can pass arrays as function parameters, but pass them by reference. Go ahead and finish up here and meet me there.